Awesome. Thanks, Justin. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jonathan Thickens, and I'm the product manager for several of our products here at DQ, including the DevTools HTML APIs and Linter. Today, I'll be talking about the accessibility testing platform developers have been waiting for. Over the years, we've gotten a lot of great feedback on our automated accessibility testing products. People have told us a lot about what their dream solution would look like. About a year ago, we started working on the concept to make those dreams come true. Today, I'm incredibly excited to show you what we've come up with. Without further ado, let's jump into what this new platform is about, and what problems it can solve. So first of all, how would you like to instantly know whether the PR you're reviewing makes your app's accessibility better or worse? With automatically integrated Git data, you can track accessibility changes from commit to commit and directly compare the feature branch being reviewed with its base branch, making it obvious whether accessibility testing is moving in the right direction without doing any digging at all. You can also easily track accessibility changes from release to release. In addition to comparing a release candidate to the previous release, you'll have a historical record of all your releases. You'll know exactly how accessibility is changing over time as your app is developed. When you encounter accessibility issues, you'll get all the same great info you're used to with DQ products. Now, we're introducing a new dimension called duplicates. We can detect and report on issues that show up more than once on a page. When you fix one of these duplicate issues in code, you'll knock out more than one accessibility violation on that page, meaning your changes go a lot further. All levels of the reports generated on all dimensions of accessibility data are shareable with a single click. For example, with this new platform, you can do things like share the most recent releases accessibility stats with your manager, show off how a feature improves accessibility, or point out a high priority issue that needs to be fixed right away. One of my favorite parts, this tool integrates without the need for any changes to your tests. Just add a few lines of code to your configuration, and all of the tests in all of your test files are integrated with accessibility testing automatically. It's also self-updating, meaning as your end-to-end tests change over time, there's no need to maintain your accessibility integration as well. Overall, we wanted to make automated accessibility testing easier to do and more powerful simultaneously, offering all the benefits you just heard about and more. Here's how this new set of capabilities breaks down. On the API integration side, we've created an ultra-low code implementation. Regardless of how many test files or test cases you have, the entire implementation can be done with just a few lines of code copied and pasted into configuration files. Now, you don't even have to open a test file to add accessibility testing to it. All in, the complete implementation process takes about 60 seconds. There are added bonuses to this style too. It also means you'll never have to spend any time maintaining your accessibility test integration. As you modify, create, or delete test cases, the accessibility scanning API self-updates. Another bonus, you won't have to worry about missing pages with your accessibility scans. This new API will automatically capture all page states encountered in your tests. As you'd expect, the API also has AXCore at its heart. This means false positive free results that will be consistent with any other tools you might be using from DQ. We're also working on a big increase in coverage powered by AI and ML. On the reporting side, we've developed a new cloud reporting platform called Axe Developer Hub. It's able to integrate and organize data in a way that hasn't been previously possible. To name a few of the many benefits, it enables tracking of accessibility changes over time. For example, as you make several commits to a new feature branch, how does each commit change accessibility? How does the feature branch affect the overall accessibility of the app? When it comes to release time, how does this release's accessibility compare to the last? Another great benefit is that this tool automatically integrates with Git data, which is what allows us to have that commit, branch, and release context included with the accessibility results. Prioritization is another common issue. How do you tell which issues to fix first? We've made major improvements here too. In addition to all the great issue data you're used to with tools from DQ, this platform adds more key issue data around how fixing them will impact the overall accessibility, mainly whether any identical issues appear multiple times. This data goes a long way towards helping solve the ever-present prioritization problem. Now, not knowing which issues to fix first is a thing of the past. Another major benefit of the cloud reporting platform is how easy it makes telling whether you're hitting your accessibility goals. When reviewing or releasing code, it's often difficult to tell whether the new code meets accessibility standards. This is another major challenge we're endeavoring to solve with this new set of capabilities. You'll know right away whether accessibility relative to your organization's threshold is met or not before merging that PR or cutting that release. Getting into the details of the API a little bit more, I'm sure some of you are wondering if the implementation can really be that quick and easy, and I promise you it is. Here's a recorded demo showing exactly how quickly it can be done. We're going to start with the quick start guide and select your accessibility testing platform, Cypress in this case, and we're going to give a project to the name. From there, it's as simple as copying and pasting a couple code blocks. The first one goes into the cypress.config.js file. In my case, I also have to add an extra line to point to our dev instance. One more code block needs to be copied and pasted from the quick start guide, this time into the e2e.js file. Now that that's done, all that's left to do is install a package from npm and then run the tests. While that's going on, here's how the API works. It basically watches the page being tested and detects any changes that occur with a DOM observer. Whenever changes do occur, it scans for accessibility testing automatically and uploads the results directly to Axe Developer Hub. Now that those tests are finishing running, we can go back to the quick start page and follow the link to see our data in Axe Developer Hub. And there it is, full implementation in right about a minute. We'll get into the details of this Axe Developer Hub report more later. So as you just saw, the new Watcher API means you can forget implementation and maintenance headaches altogether. No matter how large your test setup is, you can implement accessibility testing across all of it with just a couple lines of code. Once your implementation is complete, you don't have to worry about keeping it updated. As your tests change over time, the API automatically updates when and where to scan in parallel with your tests. This is all powered by our DOM observing API, which is why we've called it the Watcher. The bottom line, no matter how your tests change, it's not a problem. Set and forget the tool and keep generating up-to-date accessibility reports. I want to touch back on this idea of never missing a page state in your testing again. We've heard from a bunch of users of the Axe DevTools HTML, APIs, CLI, or browser extension that they often worry about missing pages or page states in their testing. If their Axe DevTools API integration isn't maintained perfectly, they worry some of those pages can slip through the cracks and end up not being tested for accessibility at all. With the Watcher API, those worries are a thing of the past. You don't need a complex custom test fixture or wrapper or a very carefully managed test plan or a meticulously maintained test suite. Adding a Watcher to your existing end-to-end tests gets you accessibility results from every single page and page state it encounters with zero additional effort. As I mentioned before, this new Watcher API is powered by Axe Core, exactly what you'd expect from Deque. Axe Core has over 750 million downloads and is the industry standard engine for automated accessibility testing. It's false positive free, which means you won't waste time fixing anything other than real accessibility issues. It has 57% coverage of accessibility issues with a rule set that's expanding all the time. Because Axe Core is used in other automated testing tools from Deque, you'll get consistent results across all of them. Whether you're using Axe DevTools HTML APIs or CLI, the Axe DevTools browser extension, Axe Linter, and Axe Monitor, all of your test records will agree no matter what tools you're using and what accessibility violations are found. There's another big announcement I'm really excited to make related to this new platform. We're working on a huge increase in coverage powered by AI and ML in our cloud platform. Very soon, you'll be able to use the Watcher API and Axe Developer Hub to automatically catch more accessibility issues than ever. Our target is at least 10% additional issue coverage sometime in the next year. So now that we've talked through the API and its benefits, let's shift gears to reporting. One of the primary goals with our new reporting platform is to meet developers where they are within their current processes and workflows. You've seen how easy it is to integrate for the first time, but how does the tool work once you've been using it for a while? I have another recorded demo here to show you more of what that's like. First, we're going to check the accessibility status on the latest release. From the top level of the developer hub, selecting the base branch, then the latest commit will show a breakdown of all the issues, total, new, fixed, and previous by impact, 13 total. There's a share link and an export option as well. Scrolling down shows you the details on each issue. In this case, there are some missing alt tags. To create a ticket for this issue, you could grab the share link and add it to a ticket. Otherwise, the missing alt issue has a couple of duplicates, so we're going to grab this one and work on fixing it right away. To fix the issues, jumping back into the editor, we'll create a new feature branch off that base branch. With that new branch created, we're going to go find the source code for the images with those missing alt tags. Now that we've got the source code, I know that these images are decorative, so we can use a blank alt tag in this case. Once that change is made, you can save that file and then go and commit it to the feature branch. In this case, we're going to run tests before opening a PR to make sure that fix worked. With that committed, we're going to run the tests like I said. Watch those tests run just as they would without an accessibility integration here. When that's done, we're going to head back into the Axe Developer Hub. Going to head back to that home page at the top level of the project, and then we're going to need to refresh to see the latest results. Right away, you're going to be able to see this new branch with only 5 issues, which is 8 fewer than before. You can drill down into that branch and view the commits and see the total issue count, only 5. Clicking into view issues, you can see the breakdown here. And scrolling down, you can see that there are no more issues related to missing alt tags. So we fixed the issues we wanted to, and we can go ahead and open a PR. So we often get asked by our customers, how do I know which accessibility issues do I need to fix first? To help with that, our issue reporting is designed around giving you as much help in prioritization as possible. Just like all of our other Axe Core powered tools, the reports in Axe Developer Hub include details on what the issue is, which success criteria the violations come from, what their severity level is, and links out to our rule help pages in Deque University to get even more detailed information. Axe Developer Hub adds a new dimension to the mix, duplicate issues. When you see an issue flagged with the yellow duplicates banner, like in the screenshot on this slide, or that alt tag issue in the demo, it means that specific issues show up repeatedly in your test. By fixing any issues with duplicates first, you fix more accessibility bugs for fewer code changes. Just another way of helping you prioritize which are the most important accessibility issues to address. Switching gears to more long-term prioritization, we want to make sure Axe Developer Hub will be able to meet you where you are and grow with you on your accessibility journey without disrupting your current priorities. To do that, allowing improvement to accessibility over time is the name of the game. All the thresholds you've seen so far, including the one in the screenshot, have the threshold set to 0 total issues. That won't be your only option when using the tool, though. We're going to make that threshold configurable. For example, you could set your threshold to 0 new issues or a defined maximum number of critical or serious issues. If you're working in a legacy app with lots of carryover accessibility violations, you won't need to derail productivity to fix all those old issues at once. Simply add the watcher and developer hub with the threshold set to 0 new issues. This will help make sure, excuse me, you don't make accessibility any worse, but will let you keep your current development velocity overall. Sorry, so as your code base changes over time, you're going to be bound to overwrite some of those sections with accessibility violations with new accessible code, and you're going to get to fix those issues along the way for free. If you're starting out with a brand new code base or working with one with a great accessibility program already, you can keep that issue threshold set at 0 and make sure you're staying on top of the app's overall accessibility. I briefly touched on this earlier, but another super important reporting feature I'm really excited about is being able to track the accessibility statuses of releases over time. In this screenshot, there are cards for several releases, each with the details of their accessibility status. In this example, there's a solid monotonous trend downward in the number of accessibility violations, which is the ideal. No matter what, that historical data is here for you to view and feed back into your development process. If you're a stakeholder in an app's accessibility overall, this kind of report is invaluable to make sure your accessibility goals are staying on track and gives you everything you need to course correct otherwise. As much awesome data as the Axe Developer Hub gives you, if you can't communicate that to your team, your management structure, or elsewhere, or even add it to your issue tracking software or an external issue database, that data could be significantly less effective when trying to make accessibility changes for good. This is why we've made every view from the top level project overview to the bottom level individual issue detail page shareable. The shared pages look and function exactly like you've seen so far. There are no differences for users with licenses or not. You can also export all your results in a portable, friendly format for storage in just about any other tool you might be using. Another great aspect of the cloud platform is that all your results are stored in one place. No need to go hunting through your file system or CI dashboard. Your results are all right there at your fingertips in Axe Developer Hub. I'm sure more than a few of you are getting ready to ask, what about my CI platform? Can I stop the build or prevent a PR from being merged if there are accessibility issues over the threshold I've set? The great news is yes. We've got a GitHub action that can prevent PRs with too many violations from being merged. These screenshots should give you an idea of exactly how that would work. The first one on the right shows the classic red X next to the watcher check. It's detected too many accessibility violations compared to the threshold. And in this case, it'll block the PR from being merged until it meets the threshold. The other screenshot on the left shows the GitHub action output details. It shows how many issues it's found and gives a link to check out the full details in Axe Developer Hub. As soon as the necessary number of issues are fixed, the check will go to green and allow the PR to be merged as normal. This way, you prevent accessibility status from getting worse with no need for time-intensive manual review for accessibility. We're planning on adding more gating integrations in the future based on user demand. If there's an integration you're looking for, definitely let us know. Last, but definitely not least, I'm super excited to say you'll be able to try the Axe Watcher API and Axe Developer Hub for free. The Watcher API package is available without the need to set up private NPM repo access. It's available openly from NPM in the URL at axecore/watcher. However, without an API key, you're not going to be able to get any results. So you're going to need to get that API key from the same place you'd go to see your results after implementing, which is the Axe Developer Hub. Very soon, you're going to be able to go there and start a trial the same way you saw me do in the demo earlier. Currently, we're offering an exclusive closed beta. So if you're interested, head to Deque to sign up and get on the list right now and hear all the updates in the future. I'm super, super excited to be announcing these awesome new capabilities and want to thank you all so much for having joined me. We really think the Watcher and Developer Hub are going to be game changers for the automated accessibility testing game, and I really hope you agree. That's it for my slides, so I'm happy to open it up to questions for the rest of the session.
Well, Jonathan, we have our team helping out with a lot of those Q&As, so we're going to go ahead and pick some of them that are open for you. Let me just go ahead and get a few for you. Actually, a lot of these questions have been answered.
That's awesome.
Here's one that wasn't. From Diane, can you set override the prioritization of a fix? While knowing how prevalent an issue is found on your site is good information, there could be other factors that determine priority. For instance, promotion, contract obligations, etc.
Yeah, so ultimately the decision's up to the individual user on how they want to prioritize any issues that are found within the Developer Hub. I know, in accessibility data specifically, there are a lot of differing opinions on the severity and impact of different issues in certain cases. Yeah, so there are a lot of different ways to deal with that within the tool. That customized rule sets in AxeCore are always an option. But on the back end from that, creating issues or tickets coming out of Axe Developer Hub reports, the world is your oyster for how you want to set that up and prioritize issues.
Awesome. Let's see some other ones. All right. All right, we use Bitbucket, so GitHub Actions won't work directly. Is there a way to work within Bitbucket using this API?
Yeah, so regardless of what kind of platform you're using, the first thing is, so remembering that Git is different than GitHub. So as long as you're using Git as your source control software, like Git from the command line, whatever source code repo you're using, you'll get all of the Git information with Axe Developer Hub. If you aren't using Git at all, the UI will change from integrated with all that Git information, obviously, because it's not available, to a run-based UI. So overall, it looks very similar, functions very similar. Just instead of commits, branches, and releases, you're simply going to see runs. So as the project changes, you'll still have comparison from one run to the previous. So questions like, did the code I just change make accessibility better or worse? Still going to have all of that great information, but what you'll lose is the ability to compare, a release from 2 weeks ago to the release that just happened if they didn't happen in a direct commit order, basically.
Jonathan, I think we were talking earlier, and I think you said we do have this. Xavier asked this in the Q&A. Will there be a separate and more clear demo video later available?
Yeah, so I saw your message in Slack a little bit too late that the quality was low on the demo video. So I apologize for that, but yeah, we'll definitely make those available in a higher quality format. Awesome.
All right. Please, if you guys have any more questions, we're going to have a lot more time than originally planned. So please, Jonathan is here to answer any of those. And we have the team on the chat as well. All right, here's a new one. Go ahead.
Shoot, go ahead.
All right. To make sure you can continue developing on a legacy project, but not allow more issues on the critical level from being added, can you set a baseline of known issues that will not block commits from being included? And Dylan just got to it.
Yeah, so that's that 0 new issues sort of a threshold.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to go in and manually flag issues. The tool will know what's a new issue and what isn't.
Right.
And from there, yeah, it's happy trails. One thing I'm sure this has been answered in chat, but just to reiterate for any users of any of our current tools who might be concerned, we're not discontinuing anything. So all the awesome tools Deque is currently offering, Axe Developer Hub and the Watcher API aren't a direct replacement for any of them. We're going to continue to develop and support everything that we're currently offering, that we've committed to continue developing and supporting.
How does the Watcher avoid torn test results from triggering scans while a test continues to modify a page? Does it tie into the test framework to pause other test activity while scans are ongoing?
Yeah, so that's a little bit of our secret sauce with the API.
Okay.
We've worked really hard to make sure that isn't a problem, though.
Okay. Oh, we got that one. Is there a self-hosted option for the reporting platform?
Yeah, so at launch, it's only going to be available in the SaaS cloud hosted option. As we develop the product in the future, we're going to be looking to add potentially like a private cloud version and a self-hosted on-prem version as well eventually.
For those not using GitHub or GitHub Actions, is it possible to fail a Jenkins pipeline when the accessibility threshold is not met?
So that's not an integration we have right now. That's definitely something we can look at adding in the future, though.
Okay. Just got a new post. Are there any screen reader automated testing incorporated to Developer Hub?
I think what they're asking is something more along the lines of what IGT is in the Developer Hub extension,
Okay.
or the DevTools extension. So I'd say if you're interested in something more like screen reader testing, definitely go check that out. We don't have any screen reader simulation in the Watcher API or the Developer Hub.
I'm gonna look right here. Someone asked us what our secret sauce was. We have a career page.
Yeah. If you're interested, check out our career page. That's how you learn what the secret sauce is.
Does it integrate with Rally?
I'm not familiar with Rally, so I think the answer is probably no. Just as far as integrations with testing frameworks, just to answer this if it hasn't already been answered, we saw the demo in Cypress. We know that's a super common tool people are using a lot these days. We're also working on integrations with a bunch of other different JavaScript-based web automation testing platforms that you might use in end-to-end testing. Puppeteer, Playwright, WebDriver.io, WebDriver.js, or Selenium. Those are all things on our relatively short-term roadmap. And then, expansion beyond that is totally going to be based on what the community is looking for.
Let's see if you want to take this with Jonathan. There's already an Axe plugin for Cypress that you can use to integrate into your CI and CD pipeline. I see the results are already prepared, and Stephen just got to it. Wanted to know what the advantages were to using Axe Watcher instead of the CY plugin. And
yeah, so that,
I'll just, for the group, Stephen answered, simply put, the Cypress plugin requires explicit calls to be added to your tests. Watcher does not.
Yeah, so that's that maintenance and implementation headache with the classic Cypress Axe plugin. Every single test case you want to add accessibility testing to, you have to add an axe.analyze call basically to, or cy.axe.analyze. You can get around that by writing a pretty complex, effort-intensive wrapper or something like that as well. But exactly to Stephen's point, the Watcher API, it's what was that, 15 lines of code maybe that you saw in the demo, copy paste, and you're off to the races. And as those tests change over time, absolutely no maintenance. Also, right now, the Watcher API is the only way to get data into Axe Developer Hub. So if you like what you see in Axe Developer Hub, the only way to get that data is by using the Watcher API.
Cynthia asked, can you use it for native web?
Native mobile or native web support is not something we're offering at launch.
So far, this has been an entertaining Q&A session, according to Diane. So thank you for that.
Glad to hear it.
As some of these are being answered by the other colleagues of Jonathan Thickens and our own Dylan Barrell, our CTO, please also look in the Q&A. They are getting answered pretty quickly, but I'll go ahead and share this one from Anna. Is there a linter for, this is hard to say, Vue.js? That's what I should have read. Michael said there's an Axe linter plugin that provides support for that. And Stephen replied with Watcher framework is agnostic and it can be used with anything that produces HTML. So thank you for that. Got one new question for you. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what this technology is. Does this technology take its inspiration from the technology in other domain out there? Where do I go for more information?
Yeah, so if you go to deque.com or Deque University, there's a ton of information there about Axe and our automated testing platforms for accessibility. lots of information there on web accessibility, just kind of in general. Remind me the second part of that question again, because this is an interesting question.
Okay. I'll just, for everyone, let's just go back through it. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what this technology is. Does this technology take its inspiration from technology in another domain out there? Maybe like a different field, I'm guessing. Where do I go for more information?
Yeah, so yeah, there's all the information in the world about our products and our offerings on deque.com and on Deque University, tons of really great information about digital accessibility and exactly what that means. Our goal with the technology is allowing users to super easily and efficiently tell if they're meeting digital accessibility guidelines. So if you're not aware, for those that aren't aware, besides just being the right thing to do, having your websites be accessible to everybody, regardless of disability status, it's also a legal requirement, whether that's from Section 508 of the ADA or the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Yeah, we see more and more people, joining the mission for digital equality, and our tools are a great way to avoid a lot of really time-intensive and costly manual testing.
There was a question around using Playwright in the Q&A, and Michael answered that we do believe there's plans for that, expanding that support, but currently the Axe Playwright support is there for Java and NPM. So that is currently supported.
Yeah. So in our Axe DevTools HTML APIs, we've got support for Playwright, exactly like Michael said, in JavaScript NPM node, as well as in Java. Our support for the Watcher API in Playwright is going to be coming very soon.
And just as you said, Jonathan, Gabe provided the link to Gabriel for you. So
awesome.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Again, thank you, team, for helping us out in the Q&A. We really appreciate it. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Not seeing any new questions right now, Jonathan. Is there any other topics you'd like to hit while we're waiting?
No, just thanks to everybody for the awesome questions. It sounds like the API team I work with too is hard at work answering questions too. So big shout out and thanks to them. Yeah, so that's awesome to see. Yeah, happy to answer any more questions that come up. All
right. There was a question about the objects on Jonathan's wall. Oh, so people would like to talk about the objects on your wall, Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to describe those for the group?
Yeah, this behind me right here, that's my diploma. You might be able to guess it's from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm a huge Badger for life. Will always be a Badger fan. And then this over here is some vintage ice climbing equipment. So I'm a pretty avid ice climber. And that's the tools you use to climb a frozen waterfall.
And someone asked me, what are the name of my cats? Is it that obvious? So it's Nala, Simba, and Cortana. All right, let's get some more questions about.
Back onto the Watcher API.
Yeah, back on topic. Yeah. We got some love from Wisconsin in the chat.
Go Badgers.
All right. Is functional automated testing plus accessibility the way to go, or unit fast testing?
Really, you can do it any way you want. The Axe Developer Hub and the Watcher API is going to work way better with like a functional end-to-end type of test suite. Our other APIs, the Axe DevTools HTML APIs, are probably better suited in a unit testing case. We have customers tons of users doing it both ways. Really, I would say, like, whatever test suite you have, add accessibility to it, and you're way better off than you would be otherwise.
And Stephen got to it. Helen asked, does the Watcher API require us to add specific DQ domains to add include lists to bypass the firewalls? And Stephen answered with yes.
Yep, yeah. So that Axe Developer Hub URL would need to be whitelisted in order to send the data there, and also if there are access concerns as well, to be able to access that URL.
Awesome. Again, thank you guys for the questions, and everyone, please provide more. We can get those answered for you. Maybe Jonathan, maybe a reminder for people to sign up for the beta.
Yeah, let me grab the URL quick here. So if you go to deque.com/axe/developer-hub-beta/sign-up, you can sign yourself up for the beta. Or if you just go to deque.com, there's a big banner right at the top with a link that will take you through all the details I covered in my presentation, as well as a link from there to sign up for the beta.
And if you're in the chat right now, a part of the updates of this live session, there is a link that I provided that will take you directly there. All right, let's go back to the Q&As. All right, chat. And Gabe provided it, and Michael provided it in the chat. So there's multiple venues for you to find the sign up page.
Go team. Yeah, thank you guys.
Highly encouraged. All right. I knew this was coming. Here we go. What is the timeline for the beta, Jonathan?
Yeah, so sign up for the beta is open right now. It's in a closed beta format right now. So we're going to be onboarding people kind of at our discretion right now. At some point in the not overly distant future, we're hoping to open that beta up publicly. So at that point, anybody who wants to get in can get in. If you sign up for the list right now, if you don't get in earlier, you're going to be first in line, basically, to start your trial, start your beta experience when we do open that up. So definitely sign up for the beta. Fill that form out right now. You'll get all the updates, be the first to know. And then as far as beta length, right now that's open-ended. It's going to depend a lot on customer feedback and our ability to continue to develop the product.
Shay asked, if you are just now adding automated testing, I'm guessing, to their CI/CD pipeline, is there a recommendation that you could give?
Ooh, man. So I really like Cypress, honestly. I like our integrations with Cypress. I think it's a super fun, easy to use, super functional tool. I don't know that the rest of the developers on the team would agree with me on that. I think they really like working with Playwright, especially. But honestly, all the technologies that I've mentioned, WebDriver IO, Puppeteer, Selenium WebDriver, all of that's really awesome. You know, there are tons of people out there super successfully using all of them, and many more.
Matthew, I just saw your comment in the chat. I am looking for your question right now. I thought it was answered. You could check it in the Q&A, but yeah, just check that in the Q&A. It's been answered by, oh no, it actually was not. Let's just go through this. Which DQ Axe tools are designed for developers in mind, and which are for testing for Q&A purposes? Not clear to me which DQ tool. I believe this is a little bit outside of what Jonathan's covering. Did you want to?
Yeah, I could run through that super quick. So,
okay.
The big disclaimer I'll give is what tools work within your processes at your organization, with the different responsibilities of developers, QA, et cetera, is very customer dependent, right? It's not one size fits all. Axe Watcher, the Watcher API, excuse me, and Axe Developer Hub specifically are, well, you know, really it depends in this case on who owns the automated testing. If automated testing is owned by developers, probably works best when used by developers in development. If automated testing is owned by QA, then it's probably more of a QA tool in that case. In general, pretty much all of our stuff is designed to be used by any persona kind of wherever they live in the software development lifecycle. Yeah, so it's like, I wouldn't say that we have any tool that's specific to QA or development. It's just, yeah, like I said, processes, who owns what, how you want to, there's a million different ways to skin the proverbial cat.
There's a question, I don't believe they meant Axe Consummate. I think they might have meant Axe Core. I could be wrong, but I'm going to ask the question as it's written. Is it good or not to integrate AxeCon with Cucumber.js and Nightwatch.js with the AxeCon API? I'm assuming they mean Axe Core. Axe Core,
yeah. No, I mean, if that's the testing setup you're working with, you can definitely make it work with that setup. And having Axe Core integrated into your tests, however that is always better than nothing, right? Like, the more automated accessibility testing you're doing, the better. The more data you're getting back, the more you're able to fix those accessibility issues, the better for everybody.
After the beta, will this be a free tool? If not, what is the estimated cost?
Yeah, so we don't have any sort of idea or data on that. It's all going to depend on how the beta progresses. If you sign up for that beta list, give it a try. We're definitely going to be communicating whatever decisions we're making as early as we can. So yeah, if you're on that list, it'll be really easy to stay informed about any decisions we do make in the future.
And Dylan got to Will's question in seconds. And Will asked what data is sent up to the hub, snippets of the DOM in the test, snippets of the test code being run. And Dylan responded with, result data is sent. This includes small snippets of the HTML.
Yep.
You may have already answered this. It has always been said that on the glass testing is better than automation. Is that really still the case?
On the glass, I'm guessing that means like manual screen reader testing, and I'm going to answer the question with that assumption. So,
okay,
all of our tools are seeing the browser exactly the same way an end user would. It's not in a simulated environment. It's literally, looking at the screen the same way it's rendered for users if you're using headed testing. So Axe Core that's being used in this tool doesn't cover 100% of accessibility violations. So we always recommend some level of manual testing on top of that, making sure that any serious issues that we can't detect aren't sneaking through. We do have other tools that are more manually involved, like the Axe DevTools Pro browser extension. That has significantly more coverage, up to percentages in the mid 80s, I think. And there are goals set to make that the only tool you need to use in the very near future. But yeah, so TLDR, our tools get you Axe Core based tools, the Watcher API, other Axe Dev Tools APIs get you a really good chunk of the way there. They save a ton of work, and they see everything that the browser sees. That being said, that you do need to do more manual testing on top of that to get to 100% issue coverage.
There was a question, would there be any integration with WordPress?
Not at launch. That's something we could potentially look into down the road.
Okay. And then, yep. So that question was asked about the, oh yeah, you already handled that one. Okay, cool, perfect. And then do you see accessibility test automation being a part of regression or new feature testing? So
the more places you're integrating accessibility testing into your pipeline, the better. I think we recommend testing as early in the development process as you can to minimize like the cost of rework. You know, how many steps do you have to go backward in the process to fix an issue that's found? We also recommend testing often. Like the more quality gates you have between, you know, the developer's fingers touching their keys and your production digital properties that real users are interacting with, the less likely issues are to sneak through and not be remediated before it becomes a problem to a user out in the wild.
Well, normally I would have told us at 4:40 that we had 10 minutes for Q&As, but it's been going so well. I just wanted to remind everyone we have 4 more minutes. So if you have any more questions, please bring those up and we will get those answered for you.
Yeah, questions have been great. Keep them coming. Happy to answer more.
All right. Here we go. Nope. Jonathan, we got a thank you from, hopefully I'm saying this right, Rajab, for you answering his questions. So
yeah, happy to. Thank you for attending the talk.
I got a question. Do you plan to add Watcher to some automatic tests for keyboard support for semantic HTML with some config or AI support?
If the question is using the developer hub accessible, like is it keyboard accessible? All of our tools that we develop internally at Deque, we work really hard to make sure that they're absolutely as accessible as possible. So we're definitely be doing that. If the question is, are we going to be doing simulated keyboard testing within Watcher? Not right now. We do have simulated keyboard usage testing functionality in the Axe DevTools Pro browser extension as a part of IGT. So I hope either way.
I just saw a question in the chat. I didn't see it in the Q&A, but and you can help me with this too. I believe I can answer this. When it comes to accessibility testing, are there plans to create programs at the university level for students to learn about accessibility? I don't know about the university, like the traditional brick and mortar or the online universities, but we do have Deque University, which is pretty highly recognized in that space. Would you want to speak a little bit higher on that one, Jonathan, or?
Well, yeah, so I actually got my start with digital accessibility in a college course. It was a college course about UI and design. And okay. Part of our, so we're building a project, and at one stage of the project, excuse me, a requirement was find some accessibility issues that you inevitably created because you don't know any better in this web project you're building. And then for credit, fix those accessibility issues. And we had to write up a little blurb about what we learned. So, you know, I don't know if other people have had or haven't had similar experiences in their college courses, but I know that, yeah, I had a really awesome professor who exposed me first to digital accessibility, and that's kind of how I've ended up where I have today.
That's awesome. There's another question. Will there be any integration with UiPath? And we have 1 minute.
I'm not familiar with what that tool is, so I don't think I can give a particularly good answer.
Okay. Well, if you want to wrap this up, we thank you for the great session you provided, Jonathan, and thank you everyone for attending.
Yeah, thanks so much to all of our attendees and our wonderful ASL interpreters. Couldn't do it without you. So yeah, thanks again, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of AxeCon.